So we are live today, and I'm Veronica Jeans, and I've got Amy, the sales tax yogi, is here to tell us all about
Hey,
sales tax and what's happening
how's it
in the
going?
world, or rather in America right now, because it's a huge thing for us about when you have an e-commerce store is where do you pay sales tax? What are you responsible for? And when you're on
Yeah,
marketplaces, what happens? So
yeah.
um, Amy, what's been happening?
Well, 2020's been an adventure.
Yes,
So there's, what the different state legislators intended to happen in 2020, and then there's what's actually happened in 2020. So just setting aside some of the e-commerce stuff, just like everything else, states have offered some grace period and removed late filing penalties and various things like that. So I think if there are folks who like aren't quite filing yet or whatever, and worried
yes.
about whether they need to or not, um, take advantage.
That's good news. That's the good news,
um,
right?
yeah, I mean, anyway, I mean, I guess I don't really mean that, but things are moving
Yes,
kind of slow, right? And the
yes,
states are offering a lot of grace, and they're all working from home just like the rest of us are.
yes,
So,
yes. Exactly. There's
um,
nobody answering the phone calls.
yeah. And then so I would say top of mind for me are, Walmart is venturing into the marketplace
Yes, it's very
space.
exciting. Very
They've,
exciting.
they've kind of been on the brink of that already, and I think by the spirit of the law, you could argue they were already in that space, but
Yeah.
now they're making, official inroads into that space. I'm curious to
Mm-hmm.
see what it means for
Mm-hmm.
Amazon's stock price.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's a whole nother one, it's an avenue for sellers to use, which is
Yes.
great.
Yes.
But two, it's yet another platform for them to manage. And I would imagine that Walmart's tax department is quite robust,
Yes.
and they are all well versed in this before they ventured down
Yeah.
this road. So I would
Yes.
imagine that Walmart will be getting it right in terms of
Yes.
tax collection.
Yes.
Um, but so that's one of the things. The other one is states that haven't yet adopted marketplace rules and the frustrations that that can create,
Yes.
especially in big markets. I see a lot of scuttlebutt with e-commerce folks complaining that Florida will not get on board.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
they were
So what does
on the
that mean?
brink.
What does it
So I
mean?
mean, yeah. So basically, late last year, maybe not even that late last year. I think it was actually in the legislative session last year,
Yes.
right about this time.
Yes.
They were like, right, they were next in line for Wayfair rules and marketplace rules.
Yes.
And about 3 days before it was supposed to get signed into law, DeSantis said, no, I don't think Florida voters are on board with a new tax.
No, you're
Which
kidding.
means he doesn't understand what Wayfair and marketplace rules really are,
No.
because it's not a tax on Florida voters.
No. No. Exactly.
um, I mean, like, it kind of is, I guess, because Florida consumers would then be paying tax where they otherwise wouldn't. But that's not what that's not what it's about. And it just makes small businesses that sell to Florida customers. It just makes it harder for them.
Yes. Yes.
Um, and his state, I mean, I know they rely on tourism
Yeah.
taxes and all that stuff, but his state is losing out on billions.
Hang on. Sorry. Sorry
So
about that.
what's it?
I just messed up. The thing came through the other video. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. I can kind of hear a little bit of feedback, but
No, no, no. You're okay now. You're okay now.
yeah. So it basically just means that Florida's losing out on billions of dollars in tax revenue, and
That's incredible. I mean, why would they do that? I mean,
yeah.
Florida people get taxed anyway. I mean, would
Hmm.
they get taxed? They would not get taxed in another state unless you have a nexus
Well,
as a business, right?
right. So, I mean, when it comes to Wayfair and Marketplace, you're really talking about remote sellers, businesses that don't
Yes.
have a
Yes.
presence already in Florida. But one of the
Yes.
tricks about that is Florida, it's funny when you think about it sort of geographically, you think, oh, it's kind of a small state. It's,
Yes.
so far southeast, whatever.
Yes.
But it's actually kind of a major economic hub. And there's a fulfillment warehouse from Amazon in, I think, Orlando.
Yes,
And
exactly.
because of that, a lot of Amazon sellers, especially those that use FBA,
Yes,
they have property in Florida. And
yes,
so even though Amazon doesn't have the obligation to collect tax on behalf of all
yes,
those sellers have an obligation to collect tax from their customers.
yes, yes.
And so it just makes it really hard for people who sell in Florida, and it's a big market. Um, so those people are
Huge.
still on the hook for the tax. And if Florida would just get on board with marketplace rules, Amazon would be the ones that had to take care of that.
Yes, exactly. So,
So that's the second
yes,
thing. Yeah, Walmart, Florida.
yes,
I mean, seriously, like I think 40 out of 45 states have Wayfair rules now. And something like 30 states, 35 states maybe have marketplace rules now. Mississippi just came online with marketplace rules this week,
yeah,
July 1st.
yes,
And so, this is kind of everywhere. Why
yes,
all of the states aren't on board, I don't know. And then the last thing, and the thing that I think a lot of people like you, not just the people you help,
yes, yes,
digital goods and services.
yes. Oh,
So
that is. Oh. Listen, yes, yes,
that
yes.
got your attention,
Yes,
didn't it?
absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's happening?
North Carolina is the latest state to get on board with taxing digital goods and services. And, that means that technically,
Yes.
some of these ebooks that we're selling,
Yes, yes.
digital courses that we're
Yes.
selling,
Services.
these services, they are becoming taxable in a lot of places. It's a small number of states so far, but I'm telling you, it's the next piece of the puzzle for the states that are losing money.
Wow. So North Carolina, and what other state is there?
Oh goodness. We're approaching, well, it depends on what you define as digital goods and services. So in terms of like streaming content, kind of things like this, it's a very small handful. It's like
Yes.
6 or 7. But when it comes to downloadable goods, so
Yes.
basically what the state's position is,
Yes, if you download a video or an ebook,
it's tangible, right?
yes, and you're selling
Suddenly
it,
it becomes
yes.
something that you have possession over, that you can then
Yes.
transfer, do something with, whatever.
And it's
so, I mean, it's
transactional,
like 50
yes.
it's like 50%, right? Like, it's not a small number of states when you start talking about downloadable stuff.
Wow.
Now, some of the states are still sticking to the media
Yes.
that you like transfer that digital good through.
Yes.
So if it's just, through the internet, like on a
Yes.
website or something,
Yes.
then you're still safe in most places. But I'm telling you, it's not going to be long.
Yeah,
Because
I knew that. I absolutely knew that, because I mean, this is something
yeah.
that they are losing out on money, right? So I'm not surprised. I'm really not surprised. It would have been really stupid if they didn't do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yes.
it's one of those things. It's like, books are taxable, but ebooks aren't. Come on.
Yes, exactly.
I have just as much, well, I would say I have just as much possession over my books
Ebook.
on my Kindle as I do
Yes,
over my
yes.
paperback. But that's only kind of true though, right? Because with a paperback, I have the right to like lend that to a friend or give
But
it away or something.
You can on an ebook
Some.
as well, some of them, right?
Some.
Yes.
It depends on the license that the author has
Yes,
with the publisher
exactly.
and whatnot. So there's a lot of gray, which is why I get paid.
Yes.
But anyway, so those are the 3 things for me, right? It's Walmart getting into the marketplace thing.
I'm very
which
excited
states
about that.
aren't on board, and
Yes.
the hardship that puts on small
Yes.
businesses, and then digital goods and services. That's kind of those are the things that I'd be looking at this year.
And so with the thresholds, are they becoming more uniform, or is there still a lot of disparity? Because at one stage,
there's a lot of disparity and a lot of moving goalposts
yes,
still.
exactly.
So Arizona, for instance, started out at 200,000, I think,
Yes,
for their
yes.
revenue threshold, and
Yes.
they are rolling that back $50,000 at a time.
50,000? That's
Yeah,
not a
so
lot. And how
this
many
year,
transactions?
Many. That's the biggest change, right?
Yes.
Many of the states, and honestly, it's actually good because it's an effort to help the really small businesses.
Yes, yes.
And the law of unintended consequences. I think the states are realizing what a burden it is on them to have to process all these returns.
Little baby returns, right?
Right.
Yes.
So many of the states are actually getting rid of the transaction count threshold.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's huge.
So, yes. Yeah.
That's
so
huge.
So the larger states, so California, New York, and Texas, right?
Yes.
So New York, it does have a transaction count, but it's transaction and revenue, not or revenue.
Yes. Oh,
right. And their threshold's $500,000. So,
okay.
Yes. If you've got that kind of problem, good on you.
Yes.
So,
right. Yeah. I would love to have my clients to have 100,000 a month problem, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and Texas and California are $500,000 as well.
Is that per month or per year?
Per year, per 12 years,
yeah.
12 months.
12 months.
So, and that's that's where things get sort of tricky, and there's no uniformity. So there's different revenue thresholds.
Yes.
There's different transaction count thresholds.
Yes.
And then there's different measurement thresholds in terms of the calendar 12 months, fiscal 12 months, rolling 12 months.
Yes, because none all of the companies do the same thing. Right. Yes.
And then the last thing that's not uniform is how long you have to comply after. So like in New York, for instance, their threshold's like astronomical, so it's fine.
Yes.
But as soon as you cross it, they literally say that the next transaction is taxable. Like not next month, not next quarter, like next transaction.
Wow.
So I don't know whose books and records they can have this kind of sophistication. And not only that, but they expect you to register immediately. It's an online registration. It's free. And you have a seller's permit like instantly. So they figure if they can move that quickly, so can you.
You should technically, you should be looking at your finances and at your taxes every month, because if you're in a state taxes are whatever state you have your nexus in, you're responsible for doing this, unless you have, obviously you're doing the quarterly or whatever. But I always recommend customers to look at their finances at least once a week, not once a month, and then look at the taxes and look at everything, because you can get into trouble
and how many
so
of them
fast. I know, right? It doesn't matter how much money they make.
I have a lot of bookkeeper and accountant friends. Let me tell you, none of their clients look at their books once a week.
I know. It's a terrible thing, and it's like the basis of any business. Look at the money, check your money, stroke your money, and make sure everything
roll
is okay.
around in a little bit.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But I've really as you know, we've dealt with a couple of times with now. One of my customers says, did I pay taxes on sales taxes in Amazon? I didn't know that, So we said yes, and they were the taxes in her report, and so she wasn't aware of that. But the good thing is if you're in one of these large marketplaces, then the tax is getting paid for you. But you always have to make sure, right?
Right. And then the tricky part with that one is, and this is going to go away a little bit over time as time rolls on. So Wayfair came first, right?
Yes.
That's the economic nexus threshold. Yes. And then very quickly on its heels came this marketplace thing.
Yes.
And so then there's just all this confusion, right? Yes. Well, okay, I crossed the Wayfair threshold, and so I registered as a taxpayer.
Yes.
But now that state has marketplace rules, and all of my sales are through Amazon. So Amazon's going to take over my filing. So do I close out my seller's permit? Do I still have to file myself? And that's another area where the states vary. There are, 8 or 12 states, I'd have to go back and look, where the state actually expects you to maintain basically like both, where you still have to have your seller's permit so they can like have a taxpayer ID.
Yes.
And even if Amazon is filing on your behalf, and then one step further, some states are asking that you file a return anyway.
Wow.
And you just have like a deduction line item for the taxes that are remitted by the marketplace. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, fine. So you don't have to collect the tax, but you still have the financial and legal burden of filing that piece of paper every month or quarter or year or what have you.
Yes.
And so then the question becomes, well, what happens if you miss a filing deadline?
Yes, exactly.
The states still got their taxes.
Yeah.
But there are some states where even if you have a zero return to file, meaning you don't owe any taxes, but you missed the deadline, it's an instantaneous $50 penalty.
I know. I've been there, done that. Yes.
And so it just creates so much confusion for people.
Yes, I know, right? I know. So just explain quickly what is Wayfair again, because I mean we talk about all these things, and also marketplace, because we understand what it is, but a lot of my customers don't really know about Wayfair and Nexus and that type of thing.
Yeah, it's funny because can you believe we are 2 years into Wayfair?
I know, right?
2 full years,
right?
24 months, and when it first came out, I was like, shh. Take a deep breath. Everything's going to be fine. Yes. I have never seen legislation roll out so fast in my entire career. And anytime legislation rolls out that fast, it's just a disaster. So to back it up a step, prior to June of 2018, a business only had to collect sales tax from its customers when it had physical nexus or a physical presence in the state where their customers were located.
Yes.
So salespeople, inventory, leased property, physical attachment to that state.
Yeah. Park your car in the garage.
Right. Yeah. And then the Wayfair company, that furniture online retailer that we all love, everybody owns something from there. They had the audacity to advertise in the state of South Dakota and say, hey, it's cheaper to shop with us. We don't have Nexus. We don't charge sales tax.
Oh, wow.
And the state of South Dakota took exception to that, and they sued them, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court.
Okay, so that's how it all started. And then Amazon got involved. Yeah. That's
funny enough.
Amazon fought
actually
against it.
Got involved first because they got sued by the state of New York.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And this was like, I don't know, 3 years prior to the Wayfair case.
I know. I mean, time goes fast.
And people in my industry thought for sure that case was going all the way to the Supreme Court.
And it didn't.
Like, this was it.
Yeah.
And then Amazon settled with the state, and the court didn't hear the case.
Wow.
And but that was kind of the beginning of the end, right?
Yes.
Once Amazon gives it up.
I know.
And they basically turned that into like a business strategy,
which
is why you started seeing Amazon retail outlets pop up. Because they figured, well, if we've got to collect tax everywhere, well, we might as well set up distribution centers, make it so that our 2-day shipping is easier, buy some trucks, create our own shipping network, put up some retail outlets, right?
Yes. And now they've got planes, and they've got flights and everything, right? Planes, Amazon planes.
Yeah, they got all kinds of stuff. So anyway, so that's Wayfair. Basically, it created an economic presence instead of just a physical presence.
Yes.
And the court in its ruling, they thought they were putting constraints. You're so funny. They thought they were putting constraints on how the states would roll these rules out.
Yes.
And they leaned on some pretty specific items. States that were members of the Streamlined Sales Tax Project, reducing the financial burden of compliance because there are all these service providers out there that are free or cheap, which isn't really true.
Yes.
And then establishing some economic thresholds in terms of the sales revenue and the number of transactions.
Yes.
But this was definitely a case of some judges who are really, really, really smart people, but don't understand sales tax.
Yes, I know. And most people don't understand sales tax, and they don't actually, when they're starting a company, they have and it took me a while, and I do taxes. I understand taxes. They've been doing it internationally, right? So I had a federal ID here, and I had a sales tax number, and I got so confused about which do I pay and what do I do with this. So when you're starting out, people don't really understand that the one tax number is your federal income for your company, but the sales tax is actually the stuff that you collect for the state, right?
Yeah, so that's Wayfair basically in a nutshell. Is the state moved away from physical presence to economic presence, and so the reason they did it, not for nothing, like people often I don't know, as soon as the word tax comes into play, it creates this sort of visceral reaction, right? But as a consumer, I mean, we pay sales tax. It's just part,
exactly.
Internationally it's VAT, here it's sales tax, whatever. It's the cost of doing business.
Exactly.
But people often ask, like, well, what am I paying sales tax for?
Yes.
And you're paying sales tax for roads, infrastructure, security, safety, education, all the things that kind of help keep society, you know, woven together.
Exactly.
And the reason that the state of South Dakota sued Wayfair was because they said, well, here's the deal. You don't have a store here, right? Like, you don't have a physical presence, but every time a UPS truck delivers one of your pieces of furniture into our state, you're damaging our roads. You're taking advantage of our safety and security. You're using the infrastructure, and you're not paying for it.
Yes, I do. Yeah, that's.
And so that's what the states are going after. Is basically they're saying, in this world of online commerce, all these businesses are taking advantage of the system, but somebody's got to help pay for it.
Yes, exactly.
So that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's logical. I mean, somebody has to pay for it. Right? People don't understand that you pay the taxes, and that's how infrastructure gets paid, because, you know, you can't get away from paying taxes. And, you know, otherwise we won't have bridges and nice roads and all this type of thing, right?
So, and I mean, and we can get into all the, you know,
I know,
whether the tax money is well spent and blah, blah, blah. That's, you know, not the point. But the bottom line is that's, you know, that's what those tax dollars are for.
Yes.
So then the other piece that you asked about is marketplace. So Wayfair basically created this filing obligation for 8 million small businesses overnight, right?
Yes.
That got really messy really fast. And I think a couple of states said, well, wait a second. Who's at the boat? If Amazon is the one facilitating all of this, right? If they're handling payments, if they're handling refunds, if they're handling shipping, if they're handling returns, like, they are, in effect, they are the retailer. Right? Like, you know, Susie whatever is selling her goods on Amazon, but without Amazon, you know, she's not selling to anybody. So they said Amazon is the marketplace where this is taking place. And they said, wouldn't it be easier, since Amazon's already got all the financial back office infrastructure, why don't we just have them collect all the taxes? And it makes a lot of sense. I mean, Amazon's tax department is like 600 people. They can handle it.
Wow.
Right?
I know, right?
And so it makes sense. And so that trickles down to Etsy, eBay, you name it, and now Walmart.
I mean, you know, and the thing is that I always say you can have your little store, but who's going to be there, right? Customers are going to Amazon, and they will be going to Walmart to buy their products before they come to you, unless they get to know you and your marketing. So I have clients that don't do advertising on Amazon at all, and they're still selling. I mean, the stupidest stuff, right? And they have a couple of sales a day, and there's no advertising, there's nothing. So it does help to actually be on these marketplaces. Donna, one of my puzzle lady, she always says, you know, if there's a market, you sell, baby. You know, you got to, because also customers need to see you everywhere. Because if you start seeing you everywhere, they go, wow, you know, she's pretty big. You know, she's on Amazon and she's in Walmart and this type of thing. And so I'm actually, Shopify has partnered with Walmart. And so now we've got an app and we can apply much easier, because it was such a huge deal to apply to Walmart, to get into Walmart as an e-commerce store. Now it's through an app. You still have to jump through some hoops. So I don't know what the hoops are. I've just started. And the first hoop was you have to have a Dunn Street number. You know, you have it, a Dun and Bradstreet number. So you know that you have to have a registered company, not a DBA or a state company, doing business as. You have to have a registered company to have a Dunn's number, because you have to have finances. And so, one of the things about Walmart is it's set up. You know, I used to be a woman-owned business, but it's set up so that the companies can, so small companies, small vendors, women-owned, veteran, blah blah blah, can apply and do business with Walmart as a small company because you are, one of those disadvantaged companies. I was very happy to be disadvantaged.
Minority owned, they call it.
Yes, exactly. Disadvantaged. But anyway.
Hey, trust me, sister. I owned a catering company with 2 other women once upon a time, and you bet your butt we took advantage of every
I know, right? So I think, and that's where the Duns thing comes in, because when they started all that, now there's a name, what they call it, diversity program. When they started it, there had to be some rules in place so that the companies are responsible. It's not just a one-man band. Well, obviously it was a one-man band, some of them, but they had finances, they had everything behind them, so that the large company like Walmart would do business with such a small company. They knew that this company would be able to handle the volume.
Right.
So it's funny because I had another customer, prospective customer, say that, she's going to go on Good Morning America, and I go, no, you don't. You don't want that problem, because we've just gone through it with Donna, my puzzle lady. She went,
and that was just local network she was on, right?
Yes. So she had, within hours, she had 385 orders, and she was 21 days behind, and this was posted on TV 4 days before Mother's Day. So they promised these people that she would get it out, and it's a handmade product.
I know, I own one. I love her puzzles.
Right? I know, right? But so it's dealing with the larger companies you got to be prepared for that. If you want that volume, you've got to know that if you have 100 orders that day, those 100 orders have to go out, because like Amazon, you have to ship your products in a certain amount of time. Otherwise, that's it, you're off, right? So it is a big responsibility, and then also remembering all these other little things that you need to do. But I'm very excited about Walmart. It just gives the e-commerce companies just another opportunity to sell somewhere. I mean, obviously, some stuff you can't sell in Walmart, but, and then the interesting thing is going to be how is Walmart, I know they're going to grow very fast, but what that is going to look like in a couple of years, because Amazon, Amazon is like, everybody shops at Amazon. Cheap, expensive, you name it, you can find it on Amazon.
Right.
Walmart, we've been trained by Walmart, cheap is good, right? If you want something extremely cheap, you go to Walmart. So now they're going to compete on the same level as Amazon. So they have to really change their outlook to their customers to attract the better quality e-commerce store.
I am curious, because this is purely anecdotal and a one-time experience, but you might know more. So I was looking for like an iPhone 6.
Yes.
But it was, just like a year or two ago, because basically I've got an almost teenager who's begging for a phone, right?
Yes.
So, and I didn't want to spend a lot of money on it. And I was trying to get my hands on like an old model phone. And so I was just doing some generic e-commerce shopping online, and Walmart kept popping up as an option. At this time, it really was hard to get your hands on an iPhone 6 through I'll just say legit means, right? Other than used on eBay or Craigslist or what have you. And I was surprised to find out that Walmart had these products, but when I started to dig a little deeper, some of the reviews were a little wonky, and a lot of the comments were like, this thing is crap. They said it's a new product, but it's totally a used product. I don't know who this is selling this phone. And I was like, okay.
Yes.
So is this Walmart's way of trying to fix that, or
I don't know. I really don't know.
Were they selling before? I'm a little confused. I don't know.
So they did open the marketplace to small businesses or other e-commerce businesses. but it was really hard to jump through all the hoops, and it took them a long time. I mean, my clients, some of my clients, they jump on anything that's out there, right?
Sure.
But they actually gave up because it took such a long time, and it was a pain to actually apply, so they just forgot. Let's forget about it, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how long it takes me to get this client on board and to actually selling on Amazon, and what that looks like. So but I said, there is definitely going to be a brand. It has to be a brand thing that they have to change, right? Because that message has to look different before people are going to jump from Amazon to Walmart. But Walmart is everywhere.
It just comes down to building trust, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. Are they selling the right thing? And is it not going to be sent back? Yes, exactly.
Well, and to that end, like Amazon, I feel like over time, because they are kind of the only game in town.
Yes.
I mean, I'm excited that whoever's going to be the competitor, I'm excited for it. Because honestly, when it comes to some of the sort of nicer things for the house or whatever, I'll look on Amazon to get information, see what people are talking about, things like that. But so often, if you read reviews, you can tell they're paid for, or you'll get a review that's like, don't believe the 5-star reviews. This thing's crap.
Yes.
And so I've really stopped. I've stopped shopping on Amazon a lot because of that trust factor. So maybe some competition will be good.
I think I totally believe competition is always good, because just an example of my daughter-in-law ordered a jersey on Amazon. She got it. There were literally big holes, several, all over the place in this jersey. I mean, it's ridiculous, So I think competition is really good. And then the way they're going to handle the sales tax, that's going to be interesting as well. I mean, they have to do something or the same as Amazon, where they're actually paying the taxes, right?
Well, sure. I mean, the laws are going to be the same, right? Just because they're a new competitor in the space doesn't mean the rules are different. They're not Amazon rules; they're marketplace rules.
Yes.
And I mean, and to that point, like, it's interesting. We actually, so that I am sales tax yogi, but then I also work for a firm, right?
Yes.
So, and we have some clients that for years, kind of accidentally built a marketplace.
Oh wow!
They started out as this one client in particular comes to mind. They started out as their own e-com, right? Mm-hmm. But then there were other sort of affiliated, similar groups that they were sort of helping them with like plug and play e-com website, right? Yes. But over time, to keep things simple and whatnot, they handled payment processing, returns, refunds, whatever. And so all of a sudden there are these marketplace rules, and they're like, wait, what? We have to collect all these sales taxes now?
Yes.
And so this cuts both ways, right? It's not just the large companies.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I just spoke to somebody in Australia that was starting a marketplace because of COVID, and she needed so they did flea markets, so she handled 1,500 vendors, right, in flea markets, and she was going to start a store. And so she will be, if she was here, she would have to be paying the marketplace sales tax. So
well, and that's how this client of ours started too. They were originally brick and mortar, then they went online, and then with all these different affiliated groups, they ended up creating this marketplace. And now what's interesting is because of these rules, now we just enrolled a couple of clients who are starting out as a marketplace. Like they're purposefully, and there are these little micro marketplaces that are popping up. So like one client that we recently brought on board, they're a marketplace, but for distilled beverages.
Oh wow! Yes.
So it gives an opportunity for all these little like mom and pop distilleries and whatnot to get their product out on the market. But again, they're a marketplace. But here's the thing: for an upstart marketplace, like if your friend decided to sell in the U.S., the same Wayfair thresholds apply to marketplaces. So if she was just starting out, even if she was able to facilitate sales all over the country, until her marketplace's collective transaction or revenue cross the Wayfair thresholds in a given state, none of them would have a filing obligation.
Exactly.
So it's all kind of,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, that's why we
interweaves.
have you, right?
I guess so.
Yes,
So
yes,
what else
yes.
can I do for you today?
Well, I think that's it. We've covered quite a lot today,
We
and
always do.
yes, I know, right? We can't stop. So we had to put the air conditioner on because it's getting very hot. So
Because
normally
you
I
live in
have it off.
Houston.
Well, I live in Houston, and I also live on a boat, so it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like an engine, and it's pretty old boat. So yeah, so I think if I have any questions, pop it below and we will answer it anytime. If it's
Totally.
a replay, we'll answer the questions. I'm going to pop this into the group as well so that they can ask the questions. I might ask permission to pop this into my big women's group because I think this is so
Oh, fun.
important for them to know about marketplace rules and sales tax and what do you do.
Awesome.
So yes, thank you so much for coming on and chatting to me.
Excellent.
This is
Always.
brilliant, and I will in the description I'll put your contact number. I'll put my contact number so everybody can get hold of us
Great.
if they need help with sales tax.
Perfect.
Yes,
Perfect.
Brilliant.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Happy Friday. Bye.
Bye, love.